Okay, so very cute horse. I'm just going to go through your videos and then I will explain what I would do to get him going. So I know he hasn't been worked or anything like that. You guys are just starting him back. So here you're just lunging him and he is just trotting, which is like how a normal horse moves. So you'll see diagonal pairs as the horse is going, and then you'll see his back bouncing up and down some. And that's fine. Many gaited horses can trot, so we'll see how he gaits later on once you get the basics on him. So he's lunging pretty good. He does look like he has some anxiety going on here. You'll see he's kind of high-headed. He's not got his head dropped down. He's not licking and chewing or anything like that. Now, some of it might be just because you're just starting to move him back into work, because everything around the arena is otherwise calm except for the dog. So sometimes people forget, because you know we're fine with dogs and we don't mind so much when they're running around, but when you're trying to get an animal, especially a prey animal, back into work and you're trying to get it to concentrate, the last thing it needs is a predator running around circles around it, because they don't know, is he going to bite at his heels, is he going to go at him or not. And a lot of people will think, well, the horse isn't reacting, so it's fine. It's not. It's very distracting. If you watch that dog as it's going around, it keeps getting in the way of the horse. So the horse not only has to concentrate on the person, it also has to concentrate on the dog. The dog is running, which brings the energy up and, puts it more into that it's chasing the horse and it's going in opposite direction. So the horse is doing very well for all of that going on. And you just never know, is that going to set the horse off? Is it going to kick the dog? So you want to be really careful with that. Now, even when it comes back to a trot, the horse still had some high anxiety here. I think she's just turning. So now it's going off the other direction. So still, even though the horse is behaving pretty well, it's not relaxed, and it's hard to focus on a job when that dog is just running around. So the first thing I would do is get the dog tied up or put somewhere so when you're working the horse, it is not running around. Once the horse is back into work, it doesn't do anything bad, and it's been going on for months and months and months, then you can bring the dog back in. But for now, I wouldn't. You'll see when you see any high-level professional trainers, they will not have a dog chasing the horse around as they're trying to work it, because they know how distracting it can be. And again, that's why a lot of people work in round pens that have walls. So same thing, it's less distractions. And when you're trying to teach the horse, like it lunges well, but you're trying to teach it and show it what to do, it's very hard when, see, that dog just keeps getting in the way. So that's my first recommendation, is to put the dog somewhere else. Now here, starting to ride, and it looks like it has a nice walk. It doesn't have a lot of overstride, which means the horse isn't reaching way up with its back end. It's kind of just reaching into its front hoof print, and that means if you watch where the foot lands and then watch the back foot come up, you'll see it doesn't reach way up, and that's okay, but that's just so you know. Each horse is different. The walk-in horses have a lot of overstride. They reach way over, and other breeds do not have a lot of overstride. Now from the back, just the way it's moving, it's not ringing its hocks or anything like that, but it does look like it'll be gaited, but with a shorter stride, so we'll see. As they're walking around, again, the dog is providing another distraction. The horse is high-headed. You can tell it's having anxiety here. It's not relaxed. And it doesn't understand so much to give to the pressure of the reins. And then here she was just trying to get it to go. And then that's when the horse got upset and then kind of leaped forward. So she wrote it out very well. But the hard part is what it does, now the horse has stopped bucking, and so we're talking here, is that the horse bucked. After it bucked, stopped, nothing bad happened, and then the horse got a break. And then that back cinch at that point is a little bit loose. You got to be careful with that if you're going to have back cinches on, to make sure there's no space there so the horse can't get a foot hung up in it. But sometimes they've blown up and people don't know that the cinch is hanging. So it's just something to be aware of. So when the horse blew up there, again, she rode it out well. It just didn't really correct anything. So I would recommend disengaging the horse's hindquarters so it couldn't do that again. And so it associated the bucking with something that wasn't so pleasant instead of stopping and relaxing there. So the walk the horse is doing is just a trail walk. So your flat walk is going to be faster than that. And it doesn't look like you're ready to do any flat walking anyhow. That was a better head carriage. Now the head is back up and has some anxiety. So to me, it just looks like the horse is confused on what it's supposed to be doing here. So I like to break things down on the ground first and make sure they understand it really well on the ground, because then when you get up in the saddle, it's much, much easier. But if he was ridden before and he was ridden with snaffle or a bit, he might be confused again how he's supposed to go with the noseband. So here, I know she's getting used to things above the horse and moving, but you'll see the horse has a lot of anxiety here. And although it's going and it's not bucking or anything, it is very nervous. So this might have been a little bit too much too fast. Again, I don't know all the things you guys are doing with the horse when, it's not in the video. So you might have done a lot of other things. At least the dog's on the outside of the pen, but still it causes a lot of anxiety. So there the horse is much more relaxed, but we know the flags are off of it. And that's how I'd like to see the horse going the whole time. It's just nice and relaxed. And then once it understands all the fundamentals on the ground, then teaching the horse how to gait. So again, not bad here. Horse is just trotting, but head is up and it has a little anxiety going on here. So as this horse gets more speed, each time its head comes up and it gets more nervous. So again, I think the horse is trying to do what is expected of it. It's just unsure, it's nervous, and then it's got that dog chasing it around the whole time outside the pen, which again makes it much more difficult to relax. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So here cantering, so now that the speed has upped, you'll see more anxiety in this horse. So the rope's a little bit short for the lunging in this part, so he needs a little bit longer rope, and then over time slowing it down and bringing it into a smaller circle. But at least you're in a pen area, which is good because it prevents the horse from taking off or anything. And then this is the other direction. So still very nervous, but it is holding the canter leads in both directions. So that's good. But overall, the horse just looks nervous to me and tense and unsure, and just a green horse. Okay, so now we're back to the beginning. So what I like to do when I'm teaching horses is do everything from the ground first. And I'll write this out for you, but this is how I would train the horse. So first, especially if you have a big arena or somewhere the horse could run loose, that's what I would do. Before any lunging, I would just let the horse run loose, let it run around for about 10 minutes and just let it get its bucks out, rear up, whatever it wants to do, run and play, and just get that excess energy off. So that way when you go to lunging, it'll be more focused. And this is not forever, just until we get this horse to be a little bit calmer. Then what I would do is the lunging work. I like to use a whip. Everybody's different, but I'm always trying to get the horses used to whips, because many, especially if they're abused or afraid of whips, so you're trying to get it used to that the whip is not going to hurt it, and it's just extension of your arm. So then I would start to walk it and just have it walking calmly on the lunge line, and once it's doing that well, then I would go to the trotting. When you're trotting, I would turn every couple of circles, and I would just keep doing the trotting until you see that horse lower its head and start to relax more. Again, I would not have the dog around at all. And what you're trying to do is get that horse to relax at the trot. Anytime it's relaxing at the trot, it starts to put its head down or it's licking and chewing, I would stop, give the horse a break, go up until it did a good job and rub on it and pet on it, and then send it back out at the trot again. So it knows that's what you're trying to get. And again, I would do that over and over until that horse starts lowering its head like it did at the walk. Then, once they can do that pretty decent, then I'd add in the canter. And the same thing, I'd do a lot of cantering, but I'd do it on a little bit of a longer rope. It's hard for horses to canter in small circles, especially if they're unbalanced. So if they are able to canter on a longer rope, they won't be pulling as much, and that way they won't be as distracted. And I would work on cantering a couple of circles, coming back, trotting for a couple of circles, cantering for a couple of circles, coming back down and trotting for a couple of circles. So you're bringing the transitions up in speed and bringing them back down. So the horse starts learning when it canters, it doesn't need to panic. It's going to come back down in speed. And over time, that will usually help the horse to relax. So I would do a lot of that. Then what I would do is a lot of desensitizing on the ground. And I'll send you videos of that. And again, you guys might already be doing this. I just don't know. So then I would do a lot of desensitizing and just getting the horse used to standing there and getting used to things moving around it, such as bags and whips and flags and all of that, but also getting the horse used to bikes and joggers and baby carriages, anything that you might possibly see out on the trail. Start getting it used to all those things now. And then after the desensitizing, then I would go back and do some other groundwork, such as teaching the horse to disengage its hindquarters, teaching the horse how to move its shoulders, teaching the horse how to side pass. You can do all of that on the ground, so it's just much more comfortable with those things. Then it would be helpful, and I don't know if you have more people that can help, but because the horse is a little confused under saddle when you're riding it, it's very helpful if you have two people, so one person on it riding it and the other person controlling it from the ground. Or you could ground drive the horse first and just do that at a walk and a trot. But otherwise, if you have two people, one person can sit on it and ride it so the horse gets used to the weight and the person above them, and then the other person is actually controlling the horse. The person who's on the horse, I would get the horse used to the person moving it around, moving their arms, making circles with their arms, swinging their arms back and forth. And that way, you know, they can also grab onto the horn if the horse started to buck or something, and then the person on the ground can make the horse move if it started to buck. But I would want this horse used to everything moving around and comfortable, so we're not using that as an excuse if the horse starts to buck. Then what I would do is have the person on the horse give it a little leg, and if it doesn't go, clock, and when it clocks, have the person on the ground, you know, either wave a flag or a whip or create some energy to get that horse to go forward so it understands the clucking means to go. And do that over and over again. Have the horse walk and then have the horse go up to a trot. So use your leg, cluck. If it doesn't go, have the ground person help to get that horse going. And repeat that over and over until that horse understands that the leg means go and the cluck means you better go now or something else is going to happen. It's hard to tell when the horse exploded, but it was right after she kind of hit him. And as she hit him, he started to go, and then he kind of got set off and went. So I want to make sure he doesn't think he's going to be hit by the person up there, in case that is what caused it, and that it understands the cue that that means to go, because it looks like a very willing horse. It just looks like it got confused, and it might have gotten scared. And when that happens, the horses immediately think the thing on its back is a predator, and I want that off because it's making me feel uncomfortable. So we want to make sure this horse is comfortable with everything. So again, going from a walk to a trot and then back to a walk with the rider on it, and then stopping, rewarding the horse anytime it does it well. So if you ask it to trot and it goes up to the trot, immediately you can bring it back down to a walk and reward the horse, tell it you did a good job, and do it over and over again until it starts associating that the leg with the cluck means go. And I would just do that and not do any cantering, just the trotting. And I would focus a lot on steering, okay? Making patterns, teaching that horse to bend in a circle, then to leg yield, to do the serpentine, lots of patterns, and then turn in the forehand, and then turn on the haunches in time, and then your side pass. Those are all the things the horse needs to learn and learn well in the arena. Now, you can do it with a halter and lead. It's a little bit hard. It is easier if you have the reins on the side of the halter. It helps the horse understand how to steer more, or to put a snaffle in that horse's mouth, and it will make it much easier to communicate with the horse. They will get used to it, but it will make it much easier to steer. And the main things you're trying to do is anytime this horse does something right, stop and reward it so it understands it's doing the right thing. And you just want to take everything very, very slow. The other things I would work on too, especially if it's known to buck, is to actually stand on a mounting block somewhere up above the horse, lunge it some from up there, and then just keep doing things above the horse. You're having it like do the sending exercise and going around you, and then anytime the horse comes close and underneath you, you stop and reward it. Because sometimes horses are fine when people are on the ground, but they don't like the person above them. So you're trying to make sure the horse is also comfortable with that and doesn't have a problem with the person being above them. So that's also a great exercise to do. So I'll write some of this up. I'll send you other videos of things I would recommend doing, and then we'll see if we can get the basics on this horse. I wouldn't worry about any gating at this point. It's more getting a foundation on the horse, getting this horse to trust you, and then working it up from there.